What is up, boys? I don't know if this is going to be the beginning of the video. I actually started it yesterday. I took the flywheel to the machine shop, and I was going to hang out and record them resurfacing it, but they got busy and I couldn't hang out. If this is the beginning of the video, I'm back out here. We're going to start cleaning this block. I'm going to hit everything with like a paintbrush, then like a real like hard bristle scrub brush, get all this junk off of there. And then I don't know what I'm gonna use to clean it yet. I may or may not use something that goes inside my truck. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for using that. I don't know. Let me get a paintbrush and just knock all this loose stuff off. I want to tape all these off. I still gotta get transmission fluid out of here, so I'll probably hang it upside down, let it drain while I'm working on that side, put the plugs in. I just don't want to get anything in there, you know? So I'll bring you guys right back. All right. I kind of just got carried away cleaning. This has all been painted. So I'm kind of just using like a little brass brush, get all this paint off. I think I would just rather have aluminum than that silver paint. Same thing with this. I was using degreaser and stuff on it. I'm not gonna lie to you, I used a little bit of brake cleaner over here when I had the engine on its side so it couldn't go into the rotor housings. The only reason why I did that was because I did do some research, and this rubber seals, like the coolant seals and everything, like the O-rings, they're the same thing that you use on brakes, so brake cleaner won't affect them, but it will affect this gray silicone probably over here on these corners. If you know, when you build a rotary, you always put silicone on all these sides. So I didn't use any brake cleaner on this side, and I made sure the engine was tipped on its side when I did it, and I really didn't go above this. I just wanted to get all this cleaned up because this is probably why they had a gasket leak. They painted it, and then they put gaskets, and there's chunks of paint under the gaskets. So I just want this all clean. I sprayed it all down, like on its side, put the plugs back in so no water would get in there. And I sprayed WD everywhere, which, if you don't know, WD is water displacement. It should help. I'm gonna redo this oil pan too because it's leaking out of every orifice. So I want to take this oil pan off, make sure it's flat, and reseal that while you're here, while you're in there. And then I was talking to Pettit Racing, who took FD on the 24 hours of Daytona, and I was on the phone with him for like 3 hours just going back and forth on different stuff. He's kind of talked me into keeping the twins. I don't know if I'm going to. I might go single, then send my twins off to him and have him do it, and then once my Chinese single turbo fails, instead of replacing the turbo, I might go back to the twin setup that he has because he ran it for 24 hours like that. But he did advise me to retorque all these while I got it open, while you're in there again. So we're going to do that too. We're going to retorque all these bolts in the pattern that they're numbered from the Vine. She's pretty. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera. I'll throw up a before shot right now somewhere, or a picture or something. I'm debating on taking this off and having it powder coated because you're going to see that. You see this all the time. This sits right in the middle, right up front. I might take this off, have it powder coated black or something. I don't know. I am all over the place in this video. I don't remember how much I've recorded, to be honest with you. And I feel like I've said that like 3 times now. This is all degreased and cleaned pretty much. I've used a whole can of WD in there just to help get rid of any water that could have went into anything, which I did really good trying to make sure that didn't happen. And I want to take this oil pan off. I think I said that because this leaks everywhere. And I just want to reseal it. I sprayed this down with degreaser. I'm going to take this out, pressure wash it. I want transmission, everything all cleaned. But yeah, that's where we're at. I'm going to run and go pick up that flywheel. I'll bring you guys with me. I'll show you what that thing looks like. All right, I lied. We're going to take this oil pan off now because they're not ready for me to go pick it up because they're going to lunch or something. So it looks like just 10 mils all around. You got to take these off. I already took that one mount off. It looks like they didn't put any silicone on that one. That might be my biggest leak because it's definitely leaking in the back the most. So let me take these off, this engine mount, and then I'll bring you back once we take these 10s off. I don't know what the torque is on these, but these seem super loose. That one was tight. That one was hand tight. Yeah, look, they're way too loose. That's probably the problem. Why it's leaking everywhere. The thing that I've been seeing is I think they like torched stuff and then never went back and checked what they torqued. You know what I mean? Especially when you sandwich something down. I think that's what's been going on this whole time with this whole engine. It didn't just fall off, so that's good. I hate oil pans. So as I just about cut my finger off. I use a razor blade in there just to scrape around the outside and then just pry a little bit. Now I can get this in there and hopefully I could chisel it all the way around. I'm using the rubber side of this because it's not like you want to bend this thing, you know? Look at all that. Way too much silicone, boys. Look at all this. Well, that might be for me hitting, but this silicone stuck to this oil pickup is not for me. Yeah, we're gonna clean this all up and redo it. That was ridiculous. On the block, I'll just take a razor blade. I'll do this side once I flip it all the way around so nothing can fall in there like this. This might be from me hitting just now. Well, this silicone came off of that. This though, that's silicone and that's a piece of paint. I might take this off and clean this all out. Sometimes more silicone is not better. Alright, well there's a good shot of it before. I'm just gonna go around for the next 2 hours and scrape all this. I'll bring you guys back when I start cleaning that out. Okay, working on this oil pan. I went around and scraped off most of this. There was a lot of silicone in some spots and none in some other. That's why it was leaking for sure. Also, this is all pieces of paint and gray silicone all in here, and that is from the block. They painted the rotor housings and that just chipped off in here. And on the side, those little ears on those housings where you put gray silicone for the coolant, it's just oozed out everywhere in there. So, and I haven't had any coolant problems or oil getting in the coolant or coolant getting in the oil, so they definitely put enough on there, just way too much. So I'm gonna go around and clean that all up after I clean this all out with some brake cleaner and see if I can just find a new, look at that. That pickup tube did its job though, that screen on there, for sure, because that thing is just plastered with silicone and paint. I wish these came out. This is gonna be impossible to clean around these baffles. There's a little bit of engine degreaser on this outside. Alright, well if you've been following me for a while, you guys know I'm gonna way overdo this for the next 2 hours. I'll bring you guys back when this is spotless. Alright, it's been driving me nuts. So I just taped it all off, sealed it all up so I can hit this outside with like a brass wire wheel. And the reason why I taped it up is because I learned my lesson on the 3000 GT. I hit it with a brass wire wheel and then the inside was full of pieces of brass. So I had to clean out the whole thing and it was a long nightmare. So this is all taped up. It's gonna hit these edges with the brass and then I'll flip it over, put it on a nice flat surface, and you can see this thing's bent to shit. So that's probably why it was leaking too. Like this is way lower than over here. So I'll probably just put it all around flat and then smack it with a hammer. Make it flat again. Alright, I just went around with like the Dremel. And I actually used like one of those super cheap aluminum wheels that don't scratch at all. If anything, parts of the wheel fall off. I just want to go around and get all those like grooves out. I know a lot of people, they said it'll be fine, but there's a reason why the factory put it there, I think. So I cleaned it out. Now, you can see that like this side's way higher. So I'm just gonna go around, make sure this piece is flat. Yeah, it's all jacked up. Look at that. Alright, my bad, guys. My one buddy has been over here the whole day, and he doesn't like being on camera, so I got this all scraped clean. I chased these threads. Most of them actually go all the way through, so it's pretty easy to get all the old silicone. And this, I'm sure some of you guys are cringing. I realized it before I did any real damage, that the baffles are actually higher than these lips. So that whole, I'll leave it in so you guys can see how much of an idiot I am. When I was sitting there trying to do it on the floor, and I was like, why is it so out of whack? It's because it is, because this actually is higher than this. So what I ended up doing was just looking down and seeing which parts were bent, using a piece of metal and a hammer, and I'd bring it out to the edge. Like if this part was a little bent, I'd put this on there like that and then smack it until it straightened out. And it's all pretty straight now. It's all pretty straight and cleaned. And this area was all jacked up. Some of it could have been for me running the scraper down there to pry it off, but you can tell that this has been off quite a few times. This was way out of whack. This came in like a good 1/4 of an inch. It was like this. So I brought that whole thing back up and I went in there and I cleaned all that out like I'm pretty sure I showed you guys. I'm gonna clean some more with like a green Brillo pad and some alcohol. This is all cleaned with alcohol, ready to go. I'm gonna test this a couple times because I don't want to put silicone on it and then try to get around this. And I cleaned out everything I could. Right here's where a lot of that silicone was coming from. There's a piece right there that I should get out. Right here, you see that? So it's just from them putting silicone on these housings and then sandwiching in to the oil pan, which I guess is something you should look out for if you're building one of these. They was all oozed out everywhere. I'm sure you guys seen it in one of the clips. Yeah, we're pretty much ready. Now that I'm this far, so like I should just crack this open and Bridgeport it. I'm pretty excited, man. Things coming along. This is hands down one of the most difficult oil pans I've ever tried to clean out. Just the way the baffles are set up and the fact that they don't come off. Oh, and another leak that I found was this right here. This was just half of the ring. I think there's supposed to be a plastic ring on there. And then they just silicone the rest in place because they obviously couldn't find the ring. So I'm going to try to find that ring, or I don't know. This is just the level, low oil light. Yeah, man, this is the hardest one I've ever cleaned out. Every time I look somewhere, I find another little piece of silicone, which isn't the end of the world when you find like little hair pieces, but I still would like to be able to like spray this out real good, like a normal oil pan. Okay, Rando O'Reilly's picked up some shit. I picked up black. So I actually like the JB Weld. I've talked about this before in the past. I have a little bit. I just don't have enough to do that whole oil pan. So the JB Weld brand of RTV I think is better than Permatex only because it's like firmer. It says let it sit for 15 minutes before you assemble anything, and it doesn't like ooze around. This always comes out like a liquid. And I have plenty of red, and I wanted to put red on the exhaust gaskets, and I was thinking about putting red on this just because of how hot the rotary gets. But red, the reason why it's red is because they use silicon sand in it. And the silicon sand will leak out into your oil. So you never want to use red RTV on something that's like going to be on an intake or your oil pan, because the red silicon sand will end up leaching out over time. But this gray max torque and high temp is actually hotter than the red. The red goes to 600 degrees Fahrenheit. This goes up to 700 degrees. I think I'm gonna use this new gray. I've never seen this before. Gray is usually below black. Is this still oil? Like, can you still use this on an oil pan? I don't know what I want to do. I should just use black again with a rotary. I thought using the gray that was high temp. I don't know if this is good for oil, because you can see the pictures showing intake and exhaust manifold. This shows an oil pan on it. Oil resistant. Sensor, yeah, this is not oil resistant, I don't think. I think I'm gonna use the black. I probably just bought this for nothing. I mean, I guess I could still use this on the exhaust gaskets. I don't have to worry about silica sand getting into the turbo. Oh, and I can't find this oil level sensor since that plastic ring broke. This goes up to 500 degrees. You guys think that oil pan gets over 500 degrees? All right, let's get that oil pan over here. I cut the hole a little big, so I figured I'd show you guys how much I've messed up already. Look at all that. I might wipe some of that off and go back over that spot. I hate this. I almost bought the gun, like the caulk gun. I talk myself out of it every time because I'm like, I don't do this much. But then as soon as I do it, I'm like, man, I wish I really had that caulk gun. I want to go around all these bolts just like very, very lightly. I think I just want to drop like a little pea size on all of these. When I took it apart, they were all full of silicone. They don't need to be as much as there was, but just like a little tiny pea size on there. All right, let's put this on. See how it goes. Well, Permatex says just lay on there and then wait an hour before snugging up. I'm gonna make them all snug and then back them off, and I'll come back in an hour and tighten them up. All right, give that an hour like the Permatex says, and I'll bring it back and torque it all down. All right, I went to go put these on, but don't put them on until you tore down the pan itself, because you can't get to these bolts once you put these on, the motor mounts. But they are part of the pan, so you gotta get them on with silicone. It's been about an hour, so I'm gonna go around and tore this down. I got mine set 90 inch-pounds. It says between 65 and 95 inch-pounds. I'm sure you just want to sandwich it down. I didn't look up this pattern. Now this is why you go all the way around once you do your zigzag. I forgot this one. Alright, I went around and I checked everything. Everything's oozing out everywhere like it's supposed to be. Just a little tiny bit oozing. I gotta look up the torque for these, but at least I see them started. And yes, I did wash these off of camera for when you guys ask. So all I can do is find, it says left, which would be this one. It says 45 to 55, which is aluminum. I don't know if that's factory, but this one's steel. It says like 45 to 50 something, I think. 45 to 59. Yeah, left engine mount, 41 to 59 foot-pounds. I don't know, I'm not doing both at 50 for right now while the silicone sets up. And then I definitely gotta do some more research. One part of the forums, one guy was saying that he did this one at 70. That's a big jump. I understand that this is aluminum and this is steel, but 70? It's going in the iron, I mean, I guess. Alright, I ended up moving it down to 45. Double check all your torque. I'm pretty sure that's what was going on, what's going on with this engine, why there's so many leaks everywhere. Alright, everything's set to 45 on there. I'm gonna do some more research. Leave it down in the comments if you know exactly what it is. But I think that's gonna be the end of this one, boys. If you made it this far, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Block is stripped, cleaned, and resealed. This thing's about ready to go back in. I never did go and pick up that flywheel today. I kind of just got busy doing this. The clutch should be here before next video. So hopefully I can get that cleaned. Flywheel, clutch, everything put back on and thrown in the car. That's the plan. Well, I might leave it out to go ahead and just put the turbo and everything on outside the car. But this should be ready to go back in the car in the next video. Alright boys, that's the end of this one. I'm happy it's all sealed. Alright, see ya.